Welcome back to the deep dive. We're here to cut through the noise and get you insights that, well, really matter.
And today we're tackling something that's definitely buzzing under the surface.
Yeah, it's that feeling in offices and maybe even in your home office right now, that quiet, nagging question.
The one everyone's asking, even if subconsciously.
Is my job, is my role secure? Especially with AI advancing so quickly.
It's a genuine anxiety. And our sources today really hit this head on, the key thing, the big insight.
What is it?
It's that the real fight isn't about trying to be faster than AI. That's a losing game for most knowledge workers.
Right. That's the trap, isn't it? This idea that we just need to be more efficient, quicker, to somehow out-machine the machine.
Exactly. But the sources we're diving into today are pretty clear. That is just not a winning strategy. You're never going to beat AI at pure computation or storing facts or just following rules flawlessly.
It's like trying to race a car on foot. You're competing on their turf, playing their game.
Yeah, bringing a knife to a laser fight, as you said earlier. It's destined to fail.
So why is that? Why is it such a losing battle?
Well, it comes down to core strengths. AI's power lies in processing massive data sets, running complex algorithms perfectly. Speed. Things humans just aren't built for at that scale.
It's not about effort then, it's about fundamental design.
Precisely. It's a subtle but really profound difference in how we operate versus how they operate.
Okay, so if we can't win on speed and efficiency, what's left? What's our advantage? What can humans do that machines fundamentally struggle with?
Now that's where it gets really interesting. Our source material today, drawing from discussions around 6 books to outwit AI, points to a uniquely human superpower.
A superpower. I like the sound of that.
It's interdisciplinary thinking.
Interdisciplinary thinking. Okay, unpack that a bit.
Think about connecting ideas from totally different fields, like using insights from psychology to solve a tricky business problem, or applying lessons from how nature builds things biomimicry to design better systems.
So it's about bridging gaps, seeing connections others miss.
Exactly that. This ability to link distant concepts, to see patterns across domains. That's incredibly hard for machines. They're usually trained on specific data sets, highly specialized.
They stay in their lane, so to speak.
Right. They lack that intuitive feel for the wider world, that ability to make creative leaps between different areas of knowledge.
Okay, so the mission for us today, for you listening, is to figure out how do we actually train this human skill? How do we learn to think in ways machines just can't copy?
Think of the sources we're using, these 6 books, as tools for building a kind of mental gymnasium.
A cognitive gymnasium.
Okay. Yeah, each book, each thinking model strengthens different cognitive muscles. They aren't just abstract theories, they're practical frameworks. They help you build a new cognitive operating system, one designed for connection making and deep human thinking.
All right, I'm ready for the workout. Where do we start?
Let's jump into the first one, systems thinking.
Systems thinking. Okay, I think I know this feeling. You fix one problem right, and then suddenly 2 new ones pop up somewhere else.
Precisely. The classic whack-a-mole scenario. We're often trained to look at problems in neat little boxes.
Like, you boost sales figures, but then customer satisfaction takes a dive, or you streamline a process.
And suddenly team morale just plummets. It happens because we often treat symptoms without seeing the underlying connections.
The ripple effects.
Exactly. The feedback loops. Everything's connected. Our solutions fail when they ignore these connections. Now, AI is great at optimizing within clear boundaries.
But throw in unpredictable system interactions.
And it struggles.
Yeah.
It can't easily anticipate those unintended consequences. Danella Meadows, in Thinking in Systems, teaches us to see those invisible threads.
So it's not just solving problems, but understanding why they happen and why solutions sometimes backfire.
Right. And the real game changer she introduces is the idea of leverage points.
Leverage points, okay, what are those?
They're places in a system where a small shift, a small change, can create a really big impact. She even ranks them.
Ranks them from weak to strong.
Yeah. The weakest is often just changing numbers, parameters, like budgets or targets. The strongest, changing the paradigm, the fundamental beliefs or goals of the system itself.
Wow. That sounds incredibly powerful, like finding the master switch.
It really can be. Think about, say, city traffic. The usual response is what? Build more roads.
Yeah, seems logical.
But that's often a low leverage action. Meadows calls it changing a parameter. It often leads to induced demand. The new roads just fill up. Congestion returns.
Okay, so what's the high leverage approach?
A systems thinker questions the paradigm. Is driving a personal car the only or best way to get around? Then you look at higher leverage points. Investing massively in great public transport, designing walkable cities, promoting remote work, changing the goal or the mindset of the system.
That's a completely different way of looking at it. Okay, so how can you, listening right now, apply this?
Try a mini systems audit. Pick a recurring problem at work, a bottleneck maybe, or a difficult team dynamic.
Okay.
First, just map it out. Who's involved, what processes, what tools or policies. Then, and this is key, draw the connections. How does one thing influence another?
Like maybe constant time pressure leads to rushed, lower quality work,
Right, and that lower quality work maybe leads to more meetings to fix things.
which eats up time, leading to less deep work, which increases the time pressure again. A vicious cycle.
Exactly, a feedback loop. Once you see that loop, you can look for leverage points. Instead of just saying less meetings, maybe the leverage point is a rule change, like every meeting needs a clear agenda and objective set beforehand.
Or changing a goal, like shifting focus from just task completion speed to, say, long-term value creation.
Precisely. It's about finding where a small nudge can redirect the whole system. I actually did this with my morning routine, once realized hitting snooze wasn't more rest, it was just more stress. Seeing the system helps.
Okay, so systems thinking helps us map the territory, but the territory is often foggy, uncertain, right? How do we make good decisions then?
That brings us perfectly to the next cognitive muscle, probabilistic thinking. This draws heavily from Annie Duke's Thinking in Bets.
Annie Duke, the poker player.
The very same. And poker teaches you something crucial. The world isn't black and white. It's shades of gray. It's probabilities. Our brains crave certainty, but reality rarely delivers.
We want to know if a decision was right or wrong.
Exactly. But Duke argues that's often the wrong question. She learned the hard way, at the poker table, that a good outcome doesn't automatically mean it was a good decision.
And a bad outcome doesn't mean the decision was bad either.
Precisely. You have to separate the quality of the decision process from the quality of the result. AI can crunch probabilities, sure, but it struggles with the ambiguity, the context, the hidden information of the real world.
So is less, was I right, and more?
Was my process sound, given what I knew at the time? Duke calls the trap of judging decisions solely by outcomes resulting.
Resulting, okay, give us an example.
Imagine your team decides, based on solid data and research at that moment, to cut a product feature. 6 months later, oops, a competitor launches something similar, and it's a huge hit.
The immediate reaction is, oh no, we messed up, terrible decision.
That's resulting. The probabilistic thinker asks, okay, hold on. Given the information we had back then, was cutting the feature a reasonable bet? Maybe it was. Perhaps the market shifted unexpectedly, or the competitor had different information.
So the lesson isn't necessarily regret, but improvement.
Exactly. How can we improve our information gathering? How can we refine our decision-making process for the next bet, regardless of how this one turned out?
Okay, practical application time. How do we practice this?
Conduct a decision debrief. After a big project, a key decision, win or lose, get the team together. Or even just reflect yourself.
What questions do you ask?
What did we actually know when we made the call? What were the unknowns? What alternatives did we seriously consider? Was the discussion open? Were different viewpoints welcomed, even encouraged?
And crucially,
What can we learn to make better bets next time? It's not about assigning blame for the past. It's about improving judgment for the future.
all right, we've mapped the system. We're learning to navigate uncertainty. Now let's talk about getting to the actual root of problems. This feels like Logic 101, but maybe it's trickier than it looks.
It often is. We're drawing here from Russell Ackoff and The Art of Problem Solving. Logic seems basic, but it's surprising how often even very smart people make logical errors. Confusing correlation with causation is a classic. Jumping to conclusions.
Assuming things without checking.
Right. Ackoff's big idea was that many, maybe most, workplace issues aren't really technical problems. They're problems of logic or definition in disguise.
Logic or definition.
Interesting.
And his really provocative idea is that you shouldn't just aim to solve problems, you should aim to dissolve them.
Dissolve them, like make them vanish.
Essentially, yes. He argued that many problems only exist because of how we frame them in the first place. Change the frame, change the definition, and the problem itself might just disappear. Wow. Can AI do that? Step back and question the frame.
That's precisely what it struggles with. AI is brilliant at solving clearly defined problems within given constraints. But asking, hold on, are we even working on the right problem here? That's a deeply human step.
Okay, I need an example of dissolving a problem.
Think about the common management question. How do we motivate our employees?
Yeah, seems like a standard problem to solve.
But notice the assumption baked in, that employees lack motivation and need it externally supplied. Akoff would flip this. He'd dissolve the problem by reframing it.
Oh.
He'd ask, what is our system, our policies, our processes, our culture doing that demotivates people who are likely already motivated?
That completely shifts the focus. It's not about fixing the people, it's about fixing the environment around them.
Exactly. Suddenly you're looking at bureaucracy, bad management, unclear goals, lack of autonomy, entirely different avenues for action.
That's powerful. So for the listener, how can they practice this reframing?
Try Akoff's 5 reframes exercise. Take a problem you're wrestling with. Let's say it's sales for product X are declining.
Okay, standard business problem.
Now, rewrite that problem statement in 5 different ways, each forcing a different perspective.
Like how?
You could frame it from the customer's view. How are the needs product X used to meet changing? Or the competitor's view. What alternatives are customers choosing instead and why? Or the system view. What internal factors might be impacting product X's performance or value? Is product X's core value still relevant? Or even the inverse. How can we accelerate the decline of product X to make space for something better?
Each one opens up totally different potential solutions, doesn't it?
Completely. It breaks you out of tunnel vision and forces you to question the initial framing of the problem itself.
Okay, this is fascinating. We're going deep. Now, let's broaden out. You mentioned interdisciplinary thinking earlier. This next one, broad thinking from David Epstein's Range, things right up that alley.
It absolutely is, and it pushes back against some really common advice, doesn't it?
The whole niche down, specialize, find your lane mantra. Epstein argues that might actually be counterproductive.
In many situations, yes, especially in complex, unpredictable fields, which is, let's face it, most fields today. His research suggests that generalists, people with range, often outperform narrow specialists when faced with novel problems.
But AI is the ultimate specialist, isn't it? It knows everything about its narrow domain.
Precisely. And that's its limitation. It lacks that broad feel for the world, the intuition that comes from varied experiences. Breakthroughs often come from what Epstein calls cognitive bees.
Cognitive bees, I like that. Explain.
People who flip between different fields, different disciplines, picking up ideas here, pollinating concepts there. They create novel hybrids, combinations that someone stuck in a single silo would never conceive of.
So deep specialization might make you efficient at known tasks, but range makes you adaptable and innovative for unknown challenges.
That's a great way to put it.
So practically speaking, how do we cultivate this range? How do we become cognitive bees?
Start actively collecting mental models, solutions, and ways of thinking from fields completely unrelated to your own. Be curious.
Give me some examples. How could that work?
Okay, say you're struggling with company culture. Don't just read management books. How do marine biologists think about complex, evolving ecosystems? Maybe there are metaphors there.
Interesting. Or maybe leading an innovation team under pressure.
Look at how Michelin-starred chefs manage intense creativity and execution in a chaotic kitchen environment. Or designing better customer experiences. How do video game designers keep players hooked and engaged for hundreds of hours?
So you deliberately look for analogies and frameworks in unexpected places.
Yes. Maybe commit, say, 20% of your reading or learning time to exploring areas totally outside your professional domain. It builds a unique mental toolkit. The connections might not be immediate, but when you face a truly new challenge, you'll have this diverse set of tools that no specialized AI can match.
All right, range gives us diverse inputs. Now, how do we generate actual ideas from that? Let's talk design thinking, drawing from idea flow.
All right, because it's easy to fall into traps here too. One common trap is solving problems backward.
Backward? What do you mean?
Starting with the solution you already know, or like maybe a piece of technology or a familiar process, and then looking for a problem it can solve. Or
just jumping on the very first solution that comes to mind for a problem.
Exactly. We converge too quickly. Idea flow emphasizes a more systematic process, drawing from design thinking principles. It's about deliberately expanding the possibilities. First, the divergence phase.
Brainstorming widely, no judgment.
Yes, generating lots of options, even wild ones. Then, you systematically narrow down and refine the convergence phase. AI can generate variations on a theme, but it struggles with that initial, wide-open exploration and questioning the fundamental need. It won't easily ask, do we even need an idea here?
So how do we ensure we diverge properly?
One powerful tool they highlight is the How Might We, or HMW framework. It's a way to phrase questions that inherently opens up possibilities.
Okay, let's use an example. Say, a local bookstore struggling against online giants. The obvious, maybe backward solution is offer discounts.
Right, a race to the bottom they probably can't win. But using HMW questions reframes the challenge.
How might we? What?
How might we turn the bookstore into the community's third living room? How might we create a book discovery experience that an algorithm simply can't replicate? How might we become a hub for local cultural events and book clubs?
See, each of those questions points towards completely different types of solutions. Community, experience, events, not just price.
Exactly. They open up the solution space dramatically, focusing on human connection and experience, areas where the physical store has an advantage.
So the practical application for you listening,
Take a problem you're stuck on. Instead of jumping to solutions, try generating 5 or 10 different how might we questions about it. See how it shifts your perspective and what new avenues it opens up. It forces you to think wider before you narrow down.
okay, we've covered a lot of ground. Mapping systems, betting under uncertainty, reframing problems, thinking broadly, generating ideas. What's our final workout?
We end with maybe the most fundamental and perhaps challenging mode, first principles thinking. This is heavily inspired by Peter Thiel's 0 to 1.
0 to 1, meaning creating something entirely new, not just improving what exists.
Exactly. Most people, most companies operate in the 1 to n space. They take something that already exists and make it incrementally better. That's reasoning by analogy.
Doing what others are doing, but maybe slightly faster or cheaper?
Right, but truly disruptive innovation, the 0 to 1 leaps, often come from reasoning from first principles.
And AI struggles with this.
Massively. AI is, in its essence, an analogy machine. It learns from vast amounts of existing data and examples. It's brilliant at finding patterns in what is. But it can't easily tear down existing assumptions and build something completely new from the ground up because its entire foundation is based on precedent.
So what does thinking from first principles actually involve?
It means breaking a problem down to its absolute most fundamental truths. The things you know are true, like the laws of physics or basic human needs. You strip away all the assumptions, all the conventions, all the way things are usually done.
And then you build back up from only those fundamental truths.
Precisely. Ignoring how it's done now. Let's take an example. Improving employee training.
Okay. The typical approach is, how can we make our workshops better? Or should we buy a new online course platform?
That's reasoning by analogy, improving existing models. First principles thinking starts differently. Ask, what is the fundamental truth here?
Employees need certain skills to do their jobs well. And maybe learning is most effective when it's relevant and applied quickly.
Good. Now, what's the current assumption?
That workshops or online courses are the best or only way to deliver that skill transfer.
Okay, now ignore that assumption.
Yeah.
Based only on the fundamental truths needing skills, learning by doing, how would you design the absolutely best way to transfer skills from scratch?
Maybe it's not a course at all. Maybe it's a structured mentorship program or guided real-world projects with immediate feedback or an internal platform where experts share knowledge directly as needed.
See? You've just opened the door to potentially far superior solutions simply by questioning the ingrained assumption and building up from bedrock truths.
That's a powerful mental reset. So the application for listeners.
Take a big challenge you're facing. Really grill yourself. What are the absolute, undeniable truths here? What are the assumptions I'm making just because that's how it's always been done? And crucially, how would I rebuild this from scratch, based only on those truths?
Wow. Okay, that's 6 powerful ways of thinking. Systems, bets, logic, range, design, first principles. So what happens when you put them all together? What's the big picture?
The big picture is that these aren't just isolated tools. They work together. They reinforce each other. Think of it as installing a new, more powerful cognitive operating system.
A human OS upgrade for the AI age.
Something like that. Their real power comes from their synergy.
How do they connect?
Well, think about it. Systems thinking gives you the map. It shows you the complex landscape of the problem, all the interconnections.
Okay, I see the map.
Probabilistic thinking is your compass for navigating the inherent uncertainty on that map. It helps you make smarter bets when the path isn't clear.
Got my map and compass.
Ackoff's logic ensures you're not just wandering, but actually trying to get to the right destination by dissolving misleading problems and asking the right questions.
Making sure I'm heading the right way.
Range gives you potential shortcuts and alternative routes by letting you borrow ideas and solutions from distant, unexpected places on the map.
finding clever pathways.
Design thinking is like your sketchbook. It helps you rapidly generate and explore dozens of potential routes before committing to one.
Exploring the options.
And first principles thinking. That's the ultimate power tool. It gives you the ability to say, this whole map is wrong, tear it up, and draw a fundamentally new and better one from scratch.
Map, compass, destination check, shortcuts, route sketching, and the power to redraw the map. That's quite a toolkit.
When you start combining these modes of thought, you develop a way of seeing and solving problems that is deeply human and incredibly difficult for any current AI to replicate. That's the edge. That's how you become indispensable. Hashtag tag outro.
So the message here seems pretty clear.
I think so. The future really does belong to minds that can think in ways machines can't. If your value is primarily in speed, efficiency, or just executing known procedures, well, AI is getting very good at that.
Those roles are likely at risk.
But AI cannot easily replicate the ability to connect disparate ideas, to navigate profound uncertainty with good judgment, to reframe and dissolve complex problems, or to imagine something truly new.
So our job isn't to become more like machines.
No, it's to become more human in our thinking, to lean into these cognitive strengths that are uniquely ours.
And the great thing is, we've outlined a clear path to start doing that based on these sources. Where should someone begin?
Don't try to master all 6 at once. That's overwhelming. Pick the one thinking model, the one book that resonates most with you right now, or that addresses what you feel is your biggest current weakness.
Just to recap the titles for everyone, we talked about Thinking in Systems by Donella Meadows,
Thinking in Bets by Annie Duke,
The Art of Problem Solving by Russell Ackoff,
Range by David Epstein,
Idea Flow by Jeremy Utley and Perry Kleban,
and 0 to 1 by Peter Thiel and Blake Masters.
Pick one, dive in, and start exercising that particular cognitive muscle.
Exactly. This deep dive wasn't just about understanding the challenge. It was about giving you practical tools, a way forward, a way to not just survive, but actually thrive by leveraging your unique human intelligence in the age of AI.
Don't just listen and start thinking differently. Start practicing.
Your future thinking starts now.